So there were 452 illegals apprehended at the Hyundai mega plant construction site yesterday near Savannah.
Of an immigration raid at a
And
Hyundai construction site
I
in
was
Georgia.
the one that
Listen to
reported
this.
the information that I had to ICE. But it goes beyond just someone working illegally. Let me explain to you. These people are working for slave wages. Some are not getting paid. Some are being trafficked. They send money home to their country. They give money to their handler. They have hardly anything left. They live in homes 5 families deep, have no quality of life. It's modern day slavery. So if you think that ICE is just going in and ripping people out of their jobs, these hardworking people that want a better life, well, guess what? Politicians have really screwed these people, because when they came here, they thought they were, hey, the border's open, we're coming in, we're going to get the 5-star treatment, and we can go to the big Walmart, and we can live in a 5-star hotel, and that's just not how it is. It's very bad conditions, very inhumane, and the Biden administration started a humanitarian crisis. So y'all can't just look at it like they're ripping good people off the job. They're probably saving their lives in the long run.
Did you see these videos of an immigration raid at a Hyundai construction site in Georgia? Listen to this.
Warrant for this entire construction site, okay? We're Homeland Security. We have a search warrant for the whole site. We need construction to cease immediately. We need all work to end on the site right now.
This happened at the construction site for the Hyundai and LG Energy Solutions new battery plant in Georgia, where agents from FBI, DEA, ICE, HSI, Georgia State Patrol, and others detained 450 people, including more than 300 Korean nationals. According to reports, agents went into the facility and asked everyone if they were U.S. citizens. Then they put U.S. citizens on one side and everyone else put on the other side and harassed and forced to show their immigration paperwork. Because of the raid, the South Korean government is very concerned about its company's investments in the U.S. and the treatment of its people. The South Korean government is trying to figure out why the construction site was raided, saying that the detained South Koreans had entered the U.S. on a B-1 temporary visitor visa. However, it is unclear if those workers subsequently tried to get a work visa or if they even knew that they couldn't work with the visa they had. But like we have seen from this administration, they're going after migrants regardless of their status. Hyundai did say that they're working with the U.S. government in the investigation, but if this is how the U.S. is going to treat workers, maybe more companies and potential employees should reconsider coming to the U.S. Look, I'm not trying to defend corporations that are probably taking advantage of their workers and their status. I'm concerned about the people. A lot of people were detained, which means kids probably went home with either one or both of their parents missing. These are people who are working, most likely paying taxes, and their only infraction is probably not having the proper paperwork to work in the U.S. And out of desperation, they took a job. This could all be a lot easier if the U.S. government actually let people adjust their status. If you think these people can migrate all the way to the U.S., get a job, pay taxes, but somehow they're not smart enough or law-abiding enough to adjust their status, then you have no idea how the immigration system actually works. This government makes it intentionally difficult for people to adjust their immigration status. Or in the case of the Trump administration, revoking people's status to make them undocumented. So undocumented people can be exploited, used as pawns in these political games, and at the end are the ones that are blamed for everything while the bosses and corporations get off free.
So there were 452 illegals apprehended at the Hyundai mega plant.
So this is the fat, feckless cunt that called them in. They weren't illegal. They aren't illegal. They're here on valid work visas, you stupid b****. And you know what they were doing? They were training American workers. And furthermore, do you know what that Hyundai plant manufactures? Fucking transformers for the American electrical grid. You stupid f***.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thanks again for tuning in. Alright, A MAGA woman actually just came out for snitching on a group of, Asian workers at a Hyundai factory. And these videos are going viral online because the factory was actually mass raided by ICE agents, and over 475 workers have actually been arrested and apprehended. But on today's episode, we're focusing on this MAGA woman. I don't know if this is true, guys, but maybe she's looking for clout, maybe she did it, but she's saying that she actually snitched on them. And people are angry about it because Americans are actually, taking care of business and canceling her left, right, and center. And some people are actually calling her and telling her that you actually did this because of racism. You are hiding behind, these people coming here and working for pennies, but, you don't like the fact that, they are immigrants. But guess what? They are actually reported to be on working visa. But then again, we have to say, we all know that a lot of Asians actually voted for Orange Man. This is what is always going to happen. They never wanted to listen to, black folks and Democrats when they were trying to warn you all. You wanted this and you are getting this because you are now getting profiled for being illegal, yet you might actually be in the country on a working visa. But without further ado, let's actually check these videos that I have sampled for you guys. I'll be back with more commentary after this. If you are new, kindly consider subscribing and joining us to be part of this growing community. Let's take a look. I'll be back with more commentary.
I was the one that reported the information that I had to ICE.
So just to be clear, what you're proud of is hundreds of people being ripped out of a Georgia factory in one of the biggest ICE raids in history. 475 people, most of them South Koreans, were detained. And here's the thing. Hyundai already confirmed none of them even worked directly for Hyundai. Hyundai, that's how you pronounce it, by the way. They were subcontractors. Many were here on expired visas, not illegals hiding in the shadows like you're trying to sell. Translation? You didn't even expose some massive criminal conspiracy. You just disrupted lives, families, and jobs, and you're bragging on here online like it's a badge of honor. Maybe instead of clout chasing ICE, you should chase a history book.
Notice how the ICE raid at the Hyundai plant happened at a factory on American soil. Factory just like the ones that we are trying to get back, allegedly in the US with more tariffs. Nothing says bring your business here like we're gonna round up all the workers. And speaking of workers, hard at work. They were not freeloading. They were not being rounded up at home because they were sitting around on their butts, using up American benefits, American money, whatever the frick you want to call them. They were literally producing for our economy. They were contributing in a way that probably many Americans wouldn't even apply for. Like many Americans probably wouldn't even apply for the jobs that they were doing. The whole thing also just reminds me of how there's that poem. First they came for the X group, then they came for the X group, and then when they came for me, there was no one left to help. ICE is no longer targeting just Latino communities, but also other immigrant communities as well. They are feeling emboldened and they feel like they have the president's backing, but they do not have the people's backing. And we are going to continue showing up and showing out and making sure that they know that they are not welcome. Immigrants are what make America great. No one is illegal when the very land that you are walking on belongs to people that you genocided in order to take it.
Happened today. Hyundai, their main location in Georgia, was just raided by ICE. And they're reporting upwards of 475 employees detained, including over 400 South Korean nationals. Hyundai is a South Korean company. It also halted construction nearby of an EV battery facility that South Korea was investing in as part of all the deals they're trying to make with the Trump administration to avoid all of the tariff bullshit he's trying to apply to South Korea. Now, you can't just look at this as a simple ICE raid. You guys have to remember, there's new leadership in South Korea. The last South Korean leader was like Donald Trump. He was declaring martial law. He wanted to make it a military type of country, just like North Korea. And if you remember, the citizens of South Korea ousted him. They protested in the streets and they ousted him. And so this is the new president of South Korea, who's quite the opposite of Donald Trump. So Donald Trump already has an issue with South Korea and this new leader. Secondly, the United States has always been there for South Korea, promising to protect them with military support if the dictator from North Korea decides to do anything to South Korea. And now that's all gone because Donald Trump is friends with the North Korean dictator. Like, this isn't just all happening as a single, oh, we're just going to detain, immigrants. This is all part of a bigger plan to harm countries that are not pro-Trump and like Trump and want the same kind of fucking fascist, countries that Trump wants. And these are South Korean nationals. They didn't sneak across a border or anything like this. So this is like a really big deal because there's a lot of companies that are South Korean in the United States. And I wouldn't want to stay in the United States. If I were a South Korean company, I'd divest, I'd bail. If you're going to treat our nationals like this, who are just trying to work. I thought they were supposed to be the worst of the worst criminals our tax dollars are paying to remove. Crazy.
Alright guys, there you have it. Actually, as we have seen in the videos that are compiled for you guys, the South Korean country is not happy and they're trying actually to send diplomats, to work in investigation with the United States, to, actually get the best treatment for its citizens because they do not actually trust ICE agents to treat its citizens fairly. That's how a proper government should be run. But away from that, we all know that MAGA actually voted for, jobs to come back to American soil. And this is exactly what Hyundai is actually doing. They're building a factory in the United States, and this factory is gonna actually bring back jobs to the United States. And you might actually ask yourself then, if actually they're building a factory and bringing back jobs to the United States, why do they have over 300 workers South Korean? Well, they're bringing the expertise. You cannot actually, expect them to find expertise from the United States for what they want to build. That is exactly why they're bringing in experts who actually know how to run and build what they're trying to, bring to the United States. And that's understandable. Later maybe they're going to integrate, American workers into the company by actually training them. But in fact of maybe building the facility, they have to bring in their own people. But yeah, we might agree to disagree. It might actually be something else. But again, this MAGA woman is here online going viral actually for claiming that she was the one that snitched on these South Korean workers. She was the one that snitched on Hyundai. And wait a minute, she's actually running for Congress, and people are giving her instant karma. As we have seen in the video, Americans are not happy. They're calling her out, for having that big of a hatred, because these were hardworking people on actually working visa. They weren't in the country illegally. We might actually have illegal immigrants from many countries, but it is very hard to have actually illegal immigrants, especially such high numbers of illegal immigrants, coming from South Korea, from a big company as Hyundai, all the way from across the world, to the United States. I don't actually think that that would be possible. They, of course, actually came into the country on working visa, but maybe they're trying to, bully them. Maybe they're trying to bully them into making some kind of a deal. I guess that is a conspiracy. Maybe they're trying to get them to, agree on such matters and terms, but it doesn't matter, man. You are supposed to, work with companies that actually are bringing back manufacturing to the United States, and that's what matters. Now, for this MAGA woman, she thinks that she did the right thing because, according to her, these immigrants are coming into the country and working on slave wages. Can you believe that? Even trying to say that. That's exactly why a lot of people have been calling her out and saying that she was racist, and she had deep hatred in her heart. And that's exactly why she actually went ahead and reported these, immigrants to be illegal. But then again, I'm not sure how true this story is. Maybe she's just looking for clout. But for the Asians that actually supported the orange man, well, it is what it is. You are always going to be profiled as outsiders, as illegal immigrants. It doesn't matter. You ain't no better than, other people of color. You F around, you'll find out. That is exactly what has been happening to every group and community that actually voted against their best interest. I'm a presenter, Joel Mugisha. If you're new, kindly consider subscribing. Hit that like button. See you on the next episode.